Okay, we should be live. Now, also, guys, I can edit this video when we're done. So,
Sure.
I mean, in terms of the beginning and end, the middle is the middle. So, all right. Brad Clark and Bruce Maginn here with Solomon Financial, and we have a chance to speak with Jon Higgins and Michael Higgins of Flex Capital. So we wanted to take a moment and introduce everyone to them and let them share just a little bit about their business. Michael and Jon, Michael, could you go first? Maybe tell us just a little bit about you, what
Sure.
brought you into this business, and then Jon, could you share just a little bit as well?
Sure. Absolutely. So I'm the father of this team, and I've been in lending for a long period of time. I've also owned several businesses of my own. And in that, I've learned that finding the money to do my normal growth of the business or whatever that may be was the most difficult part of what I did. I may have the best widget in the world, but if I can't show people what it is, I can't get orders, or if I can't get the production money to supply the end user in a timely manner, then I'm going to soon be out of business. And I had the good fortune over my career in business to find those sources, but a lot of people struggle with that. Then I got into lending. The laws changed after 9/11, 2001, and I happened to have an understanding of a lot of those rulings and was able to use my knowledge and help lenders to create a better platform, if you will, and conduct their business. I left that business a few years ago with my son to form Flex Capital. And our goal is just to help people find creative financial solutions for that business owner who needs to scale or needs to add equipment, expand their building, their platform, their network. And we're able to find solutions for them or create solutions for them.
Thanks, Michael. Jon, could you give us just a little bit of your background?
Yeah, so I've been in lending or finance in some capacity or another for just shy of 9 years. I left the automotive industry about 3 years ago now to launch Flex Capital and assist other local business owners with finding the capital that they're needing.
So give us just a quick, Jon, maybe if you want to share a little more. Who is Flex Capital? What's Flex Capital all about?
So Flex Capital is a father-son team, obviously myself and my dad. And what we are is a group that brokers capital deals to help find resources for businesses and business owners. So when a business is struggling for any sort of capital to grow, expand, or cash flow their business, and maybe it's not feasible for them to do it at a bank, or they just don't have time to shop those loans around, they come directly to us and we take all that legwork out of it, help expedite the funding, and make sure they're getting the best rates and programs available for whatever capital source they're looking for.
Michael, I mean, what makes Flex Capital different from a bank? I mean, why wouldn't we just go to the bank as our resource to begin with?
Well, sure. And a bank, and I don't want to take anything away from a bank. A bank serves a significant purpose in the community, and they offer services to their client, business client or personal clients. But brick and mortar banks by design are not necessarily overall lending institutions. They do lend, they offer types of lending. But if you take a bicycle wheel with 30 some spokes, each of those spokes is a different type of business. A bank, a brick and mortar bank, is going to lend in a very small handful of those spokes. And there are other spokes that they just don't do. Oftentimes, they don't tell their client that they don't lend in that arena for 60 to 90 days. You put in an application and they slow walk it, and then they keep asking for more information, and they want the client to get frustrated enough to just stop the idea. That's unfortunately what happens too often. Or they finally decline it, and that client has to move their accounts to another lender, and it could be 3 or 4 lenders later that they have applied with before they actually get a yes. And when they get that yes, it's dependent upon getting all of their accounts, personal and business, to that bank, to that institution. So what we do is we have currently a lending group of around 162 banks and lenders. But the biggest thing about us is, first of all, speed. So when someone says, you know, here's my application, you get me all the documentation that supports what you're asking me for, I'm going to get you an answer. And that answer might be no, but I'm going to get you an answer in a very short period of time. Now, we're not ones to give up very easily. So even if we hear a no or 2 from a couple of our lenders, we continue the process with other lenders to try to find you a solution. Oftentimes, I'm gonna go off on a tangent here. Oftentimes, the loan that the client might be looking for is actually multiple steps. They've put it all into one, but maybe we have to break that down into 2 or 3 steps, sometimes more, to accomplish what they're trying to do. But we work very closely with the client, with the business owner, to try to establish what their end goal is, and then what the smaller goals in the process are and how important the timeline is. Then we take it apart, we put it back together, we show them the solution. So there's a puzzle. I must give credit where credit is due. My son Jon is brilliant at taking puzzles apart and putting them back together. I'm good. He's phenomenal. So we make a pretty good team.
Hey, Jon, can you share just a little bit more about that? When we talk about that bank relationship versus why would we work with someone that is not a traditional bank? And Michael mentions how we kind of break deals apart and put them back together. And can you share a little more of what you're looking at as you go through that process?
Yeah, absolutely. And the reason they typically come to us is because their deal doesn't fit into their depository lender or their bank's lending box. So it may be a loan that they don't do, or that bank doesn't have a structure to fulfill the needs of that company. For instance, working capital is something every business is always looking for, whether it be a line of credit, an SBA loan, or they just need growth for payroll and expenses. That deal for working capital can be structured in any number of ways. Everything from unsecured money to secured through real estate to a line of credit, factoring, any number of sources. The way we get to the best source for them is by reviewing their financials with them as a team, with us and the business owner, and determining what their future goals are so that we can put the right process in place that doesn't hinder them down the road and leaves them open for more growth opportunity. Does that make sense, Brad?
Yeah, definitely. Thank you.
Michael, what are some lending solutions that businesses may not even know exist, especially small businesses?
Well, there's an old one that is very common, but is often overlooked or just plain not known about. And that's going to be purchase order and factoring. And they're 2 different things, but they work harmoniously. So that might be a case where, again, you have a big order for an object that you produce, a product that you produce, and maybe one of the big box stores wants to start the cycle with, several 100,000, and they're going to distribute them to a few stores. And then in 30 days or 14 days, they want to do it all again. you don't have the capacity, the financial capacity to fill their order and pay your people, because they're not going to pay you for probably 90 to 120 days. And those big box stores will always negotiate, somewhere between 90 and 120 days for their payment. And then they're, of course, going to try to delay that by telling you that you need on the invoice, you need to put that on a purchase order and put the right numbers back there to them. And they're just buying time. So we fund what it takes to actually produce the product. And then when you issue an invoice, we give you the bulk of the remainder of the money on the retail side, so that you can pay your employees and get to the next purchase order, and then follow that up. And then once we become your collection department, basically. And once we have collected all of the money, we fund you the balance of the money less a small fee for doing that. At the same time, you keep growing your business and continuing to produce more and more. And as you add clientele, maybe other big box stores or some of the larger drug stores or things like that that may carry your product, we're able to then help you vet those clients to determine whether that's going to be a good fit for your business model. Because we're able to look at their history of paying. Business credit and personal credit are two different things. And we always work with the client on building their business credit, but helping them to explore the business credit of their clients as well.
Mm-hmm.
So,
So Michael, are you like a shark on Shark Tank, where you bring the money to the table?
I don't like to look at it that way. As a matter of fact, I think that show, though it gets great reviews, I don't agree with it. The problem with that show, in my opinion, again, everyone's entitled to one, and I'm sure mine is wrong. Those people are investing, but they're investing very little, and that is very costly money. You're giving away a piece of your business for someone who's truly not going to take an active part in the business or in the business growth. All they're doing is bringing you to people like me who are going to help you get the money and help you grow. So they're saying, hey, I'm buying this for pennies, but I'm going to take you over here and have these guys actually take you through the channels to get you what you need and help you factor or any number of items that you might need to build your business. So they're just buying
Jon,
pieces of business.
Thanks, Michael. Jon, can you talk just briefly, and we're almost out of time here, but Michael mentioned factoring. Why? Kind of explain what company is probably looking for factoring. Where does that really come in and help that company? Who is that really appeal to?
Yeah, so factoring is going to appeal to any business that provides a product or a service with a large accounts receivable report. And the reason you would utilize factoring is because the bank or the lender is essentially taking your accounts receivable report to use to build themselves a line of credit. So if I'm running on average $100,000 a month on my accounts receivable, I can usually attain a line of credit of about $80,000. And because of that, I can then expand and grow my business. I can create a better cash flow scenario for myself. I'm not putting myself or my business at risk because, generally speaking, factoring lines of credit are non-recourse. So if one of my vendors or retailers does not pay up on an invoice that's been issued, I'm no longer liable for that. The lender or the bank is going to be liable for that. So it's a protection for me. Another big positive with the factoring is you're credit checking all of your new customers up front. So if it's somebody that's worthwhile to get into business with, or if it's somebody that's going to give you problems and a hassle down the road. So factoring all around not only creates better cash flow, but it is a protection for the business owner, allowing them to protect their self and getting into business with new individuals.
Thanks. Bruce, any last thoughts you might have before we wrap up?
Just one more follow-up question, John. Is a lot of people out there may not know what a non-recourse loan is. Could you just kind of simply tell us what that is?
Yeah, so the difference between a non-recourse loan and a recourse is going to have an individual within the company signing as a guarantor for that loan, that line of credit, or whatever funding is being provided. That meaning that recourse individual, that person is now responsible if the business is to default on the loan. In a non-recourse loan, the business is covering the loan and any lending amount itself without any individuals backing it up.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So tell anyone who's watching this video, and maybe I should give this question to Jon since he's the younger of the two in Flex Capital. Where can people find you? How do they locate you? Can they follow you on Facebook, or what? How do we find you?
Yeah, that's a great question. Thanks, Brad. We can be found on Facebook. We can be found on the internet. Our Facebook is facebook.com/flex.capital. We can be found online, flexcapital.net, Instagram, flex.capital. We're all over social media. Our website's usually the best way to get a hold of us. And you can also get a hold of us by simply emailing info@flexcapital.net.
Perfect. Guys, thanks for joining us today. Be sure to, if you enjoyed some of this content, we hope to have them on again soon, and we'll dig into some of these other topics a little more. So thanks, everyone, for joining us.
Thanks, Michael. Thanks, John.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.